Hi students. so last class we have solved a problem related to condenser. So there we have used many times that mass of air and due to that air our ideal pressure is different than the actual vacuum or actual pressure. Okay, so today we will see that how that air coming into the condenser. So during the discussion of surface and jet condenser, I told that our air is leaking into the condenser through different joints. So if you have remember that condensing plant, that in condensing plant with the condenser we have many pumps and our cooling water coming from cooling tower, and our steam is coming from the turbine. Okay, and it leaving and to the hot oil. Okay, so and you can assume, or you already you have seen that there is a many joints and many connection for making such a complicated arrangement. So due to that many joints, through the joints some of the air is entering into the condenser. So basically we can say that air leaks into the condenser through various joints and the flanges due to high vacuum pressure, because inside the condenser there is a high vacuum pressure, and due to that some air is leaks into that. Again what happens that with the steam which coming from the turbine, with this steam also some air is entering into the condenser. That steam turbine shaft, through the steam turbine shaft some air is mixing with the steam and it enter into the our condenser. Okay, and if you remember the jet condenser, in jet condenser we have seen that there is a injection of water, means every time there is a fresh water is entering into the condenser. So with that fresh water also sometimes some air leaks. Okay, so we can say that air leaks into the condenser through, can say that through the various joints. Then we have flanges, joints and flanges due to high vacuum pressure. Okay, so this is one. Then we have seen that through the turbine shaft, that it is coming with a steam through the turbine shaft, and another one we have seen entered through injection of water in jet condenser enters through our injection water. Okay, so this is how that air enters into the turbine. So next we need to know that if this air is entering into the turbine, then what is the effects of air leakage. So next we will see the effects of air leakage. So due to that air leaks, what happened that it reduce the heat transfer considerably, because if there is air inside the condenser, then the heat transfer from the steam to the cooling water, that rate will reduce, or heat transfer considerably reduce. And also we have seen that if some of the air is present in the condenser, so due to that air there will be a reduction in the vacuum pressure, and if there is a reduction in vacuum pressure, then our vacuum efficiency will less and there will be less flow of the steam. Okay, and also due to that air it requires large air pump. For removing the air we need large air pump. Okay, so we can say that it reduce heat transfer. Okay, then next we have it reduce the vacuum pressure. Then we have it requires large air pump. Okay, so to remove the air, what we need to do? We need to use air pump. Okay, so we can say that air pump is required or is provided to remove the air. Okay, sometimes it air pump sometimes removes only air, or sometimes it removes air as well as condensate. Okay, so for both purpose also this pump is used. Okay, so this is that how that air leaks into the condenser, and due to that what will be the effects and how can we remove. By using air pump we can remove that our leaked air. Okay, so this is all about our air removal, or how that air coming into the condenser. Okay, so next we'll see that next very important topic, that is known as cooling tower. Okay, so next we'll see the cooling tower. So cooling tower basically used in it is basically used in steam power plant, and refrigeration plant. Already we have seen. Okay, cooling tower basically use steam power plant and refrigeration plant. Means the where there is a change in phase of the working substance, in that place a cooling tower is very important. Okay, so now let's see what is the function of this cooling tower. What is the function? So basically it cool the hot water. Basically our cooling tower cool the hot water coming from cool the hot water coming from the condenser, and exposing to the atmospheric air. Okay, so this is a function of this cooling tower: cool the hot water coming from the condenser and exposing by the atmospheric air. By using of atmospheric air, cool the hot water of the condenser. That is the main function of our cooling tower. Okay, so basically you can see that cooling tower basically used where our less quantity of water is available for cool the condensate. Okay, so if we see cooling tower, there is a two kinds of cooling tower is available generally. One is known as wet cooling tower, and another one we have dry cooling tower. Okay, wet cooling tower and dry cooling tower. So basically these two kinds of cooling tower is available in broad sense. So let's see, first we have that wet cooling tower. So let's see first the wet cooling tower. So basically wet cooling tower means there will be a mixing of that atmospheric air and the water coming from the condenser. Due to that mixing, some of the water particle will evaporate with the atmospheric air. Okay, due to this is known as our wet cooling tower. And let's see, here is the figure of an wet cooling tower. So basically the cooling tower shape is parabolic. Okay, if you have gone through any a steam power plant or besides the steam power plant, then you have seen that there is a large parabolic some structure is being seen, and from that structure some white smokes are coming. Okay, so basically that white smokes are nothing, these are the evaporated water, okay, or water vapor. Okay, and shape is made like this for getting the better strength of the cooling tower. So getting the better strength of the cooling tower shape is in the form of parabolic. Okay, so here if we see that this from the top, the hot water which is coming from the condenser is spraying from the top, and this spraying is done from this there is a spray of water, and this water is falling onto a packing, this known as packing, or this also is known as fill, packing or fill. Okay, the shower or spray water over a lattice of horizontal slats or bars. There is a number of horizontal bars, from the top there is a spraying of water on the bars. Okay, or packing, this is known as packing, and from the bottom there is a atmospheric air is coming. So that atmospheric air will come from this bottom, and from top there will be spraying of water. So there is mixing. So this air as well as water, they will be obstructing by this packing or fill. So due to that there is a mixing or more contact between the air and water particles. As a result, there is a heat transfer from that water to the air. There is a heat transfer from the water to the air. Okay, so due to that some of the water particle will evaporate, and that evaporation or that moisture will go through the atmospheric air. Okay, so that water molecules is evaporate, and the heat or latent heat of evaporation is taking from the hot water. So due to that the temperature of hot water is reduced or decreased, and it become cold water. And after getting hot from hot to cold, the water is falling on the bottom of the cooling tower. The water is falling from the bottom of the cooling tower, and from the bottom of the cooling tower the cold water is again circulating or again going to the condenser. Okay, and then again it will take a heat from the condenser, and again it will come to the top of the cooling tower. Okay, and again spraying, and same phenomena will be there. Okay, so here if you see at the top there is one circulating fan. So basically if you made this circulation of air, so that's why there is a two kinds of draught is available. one is called mechanical drought, another one is called natural drought. Mechanical drought is done by some external force, that is known as fan or pump, and for natural drought there is a density difference. Due to the density difference of the air, there is a some flow of the air. Okay, so here it has shown that circulating fan means that is our mechanical drought system, means the pressure difference is created by a fan. Okay, so in mechanical drought system we generally used two kinds of fan. One is known as FD fan or forced drought fan, another one is known as ID fan or induced drought fan. Okay, so for mechanical drought, so we have mechanical drought. In mechanical drought we use FD and ID fan. FD means forced drought, ID means induced drought. Okay, so this is our cooling tower. And another one thing we need to know here, that our air is taking heat from the water. Okay, so our water is losing heat to the air, so that that transfer of heat will go up to which temperature, up to which point. So it has seen that minimum temperature which water can be cooled is our adiabatic saturation temperature. So we can say the minimum temperature of water can be cooled is our adiabatic saturation temperature, or in short form it is called ADP, or it is also known as wet bulb temperature. So already we have studied that wet bulb temperature. Okay, and keep in mind this, at this temperature our air is 100% saturated and it cannot absorb more moisture after that. So you can say that at this temperature air is 100% saturated. Air is 100% saturated and cannot absorb more water and cannot absorb more water. Okay, so this is our the minimum temperature at which our water can be cooled, that is our adiabatic saturation temperature, this one. And our cooling tower can be specified by three parameters. So we can say that specification of cooling tower. So any cooling tower is specified by three parameters. One is known as approach. Okay, and this is the temperature difference between the exit temperature of the cold water to the wet bulb temperature. Okay, so we can say that TCO, exit temperature of cold water, minus T wet bulb temperature. Okay, then we have range, another, this is our 1 2, we have range, and this range is defined as the difference between inlet temperature of hot water at exit temperature of cold water, means actual cooling. Okay, so this is our inlet temperature TCI minus TCO. Suppose here you write TCI, here you write TCO. Okay, so this is our range, and third we have efficiency of cooling tower. Efficiency of cooling. So this is defined as actual cooling by maximum cooling. Like that condenser we have seen that same kind of definition. And actual cooling is how much? Actual TCI minus TCO, that actual cooling occurs, so that is our TCI minus TCO, and maximum possible, that is TCI minus TWB, wet bulb temperature or adiabatic saturation temperature. Okay, so cooling tower is specified by approach, range and efficiency of cooling. So approach is TCO minus TWB, these are indicating temperature. Okay, actual cooling minus. So this is our cooling tower, that is wet cooling tower. Okay, so let's see that another, that is our dry cooling tower. If we see, we have next, that is our dry cooling tower. Okay, so let's see the dry cooling tower. So basically dry cooling tower also is defined by two types. One is known as direct, another one is known as indirect. And this kind of dry cooling tower is used where the available of water is very less. Okay, the available in water is very less. In that case we use this as a cooling tower. So in this what happened, that in dry cooling tower our water is flowing through a finned tube, fin tube. Okay, so in this, first you write, in this warm water flows through finned tube over which the cooling air is passed and heat is rejected to the air. Okay, and due to that water is cooled. And this basically two kinds, one is direct and another one is indirect. Direct dry cooling tower and indirect dry cooling tower.